Hello and welcome to News Today. My name is Kimini Yamani. I'm coming up with the next hour. Ghana Highway Authority says the implementation of the new axle load limit is intended to save the country from spending huge sums of money on maintenance. The biggest name in social networking, Facebook that is, celebrates 10 years of its existence. And on Tuesday, having grown from a private college site to a worldwide platform with 1.23 billion users. Sectarian fighting in the Central African Republic town of Border since Tuesday has left at least 75 people dead. Details of these stories and plenty more coming up in a moment. This is News Today. Ghana Highway Authority says the implementation of the new axle load limit is intended to save the country from spending huge sums of money and on maintenance. According to the Deputy Chief Executive in charge of administration at the authority, Francis Hammond, the current $8,000 spent per kilometer on road repairs is not sustainable. Members of the Accra Sand and Stone Contractors Association had earlier given government a 2-week ultimatum to revert its decision on the implementation of the new axle load limits on trucks, or they would hit the streets in protest.
We have had a few meetings with some of them, the stone contractors, the transit vehicles, and a whole lot of them. We've had meetings with them, and the bottom line of the situation is that we really have to protect our road infrastructure. The studies done all over the world, particularly in South Africa, indicates that if you don't control your axle loads properly on the road, you spend an average of about $8,000 per kilometer, over and above what you ordinarily spend on maintenance of the roads. So what it means is that if we allow things to go on the way they are, the whole country will have to cough up about $8,000 on every kilometer of road per year in the country. So let's weigh this against what demands are coming from elsewhere, and then we all as a country will find the way forward. But we think that it's in the best interest of the country, as is done elsewhere all over the world, to really control the axle loads on the roads, to protect the infrastructure, to give it a much longer lease of life. We are aware they've made protests. We have met them. We've told them the situations on the ground and then how far we can go.
I see.
And then beyond a certain limit, we cannot do anything. We cannot do much, because we have to protect the country. We have to protect the investment that we made in the roads. Yes, I think we have given them more than enough, as large window as possible for them to pass through. Because of last year, it was education all over the country from region to region, and then close the latter part of last year, we met at the Tema port, and then we said that we're going to start this new regime from January 1st, and then they pleaded, it was a general consensus that fine, a little bit more time for education was needed, and therefore at least 1 month further education was needed for the truckers and then the transit goods people. And the other position at the meeting said that they were going to take these things up, so that all those who are not aware of the timing of the implementation of this thing, they will be made aware. So the whole of last year was for education and then sensitization. And this year we have given at least 1 more month beyond what we originally intended to be the cutoff point. And we come to February at the end of the month, then they need a few more few more months. So the issue is, when are we going to have the cutoff? When are we going to have the cutoff? Meanwhile, the loads are on the road and the roads are going bad. And then we have to cough up, if we want to do things properly, an additional $8,000 every kilometer of route per year. That is a huge amount of money. That would be a big drain on the economy, my lady. At a number of these meetings, we have made it clear to them that, look, if you have your truck and you know what you carry, the best way for you to do is just walk into any weighbridge station and then ask for your empty weight, so to speak, empty weight to be taken. So you know the weight of your truck when it is empty, and therefore you know what to add. Now, if it is sand, if it is chippings, whatever it is, whatever load that you are going to carry, there are scientific ways of knowing what level of your truck that you must load up to. And of course, all trucks that are imported into the country, they have manufacturer specifications, and they will tell you that, look, for this particular type of truck with so many axles, this is the maximum load that can come on top, or that you can carry. So all these things we have done to them. We have talked to them. We have educated them in all these areas. Now our doors are still open, for any further help that they will require. We will talk to. They are ultimatum. I'm sure if we haven't got it on paper, we have heard from you, and I'm sure the appropriate quarters will discuss at the appropriate high levels, and then see what we can do.
Authorities at the University of Ghana have reviewed the road toll they started charging on February 1, 2014. Earlier, the Students' Representative Council of the University of Ghana has said students will start a series of demonstrations beginning February 11 over the introduction of road tolls by university authorities. Migdad Mohammed is PRO for the University of Ghana SRC. He's joined me over the telephone. Hello, Migdad.
Yes, come in.
Thanks for joining us on News Today. But how does this come to you?
Oh, it has come as a big relief for the students we represent. We have received the news with so much happiness that we had explored the possibility of even demonstrating, if need be, on the matter. And after a series of consultation and internal exploring the possibilities of resolving the issue internally, we have had management scrap off entirely the charge for students. But we had a series of proposals to management, 4 actually, and they accepted 3 out of the 4. The first one being that we asked that management reduce the cost for commercial drivers who operate within campus, and secondly, the removal of the toll entirely for students who use private vehicles, and then on the third occasion, getting shuttle system for students, which will ensure that they are not exploited by commercial drivers within the environment. And then the fourth one being that as university students, we thought that we should be able to let our education have a liberating effect on the masses of the people out there. So we told management that we thought it would be right that they reduce the toll for the members of the general public to, say, 50 pesos. Which will be acceptable in many respects. They accepted all our proposals except the one concerning the general public. But as an SRC, we have received the news with very glad tidings. We are very happy about the news. We are looking at how well we can give solidarity to our students who have taken the matter to the Supreme Court.
I see. And this review exempts students, and then it also looks at commercial property. But how do we identify who is a student and who perhaps isn't?
Students will be required to come for tickets for their vehicles, registered vehicles, at the beginning of the academic year, which will identify them to the toll conductors as being students, and for that matter, they are exempted from the tolling.
And are they to buy these stickers?
No, the stickers are for the toll. There's already, the university had a system in place where students who use vehicles on campus, even before the introduction of the toll, students who use vehicles on campus were supposed to get a sticker which entitled them to secured parking spaces on campus and the protection of campus security. This has been a sticker in the system already. But with the introduction of the toll, the students will not be required to pay any other thing. They'll continue with the same old system they are inside, and there will be no extra charges to the students. irrespective of whether the tool was there or not.
But you do realize that this gets discriminatory, considering not all students have cars, and so those who would use commercial vehicles would now have to bear the cost that will be transferred to them.
As much as possible, our meeting with management took into consideration that angle of thought. Of course, our opposition to the policy from the very beginning had been informed by that concern. That even as at yesterday, before we had finalized, we finalized on this meetings, we have had taxi drivers telling students who were coming into campus to, as it were, pay for the toll themselves before they can be taken into campus. And we thought it was not a development which is anyway acceptable. So management has considered to the fact that they will cut down the cost from the 400 Ghana cedis a year ticket to the commercial drivers to 100 cedis, where we are expecting that this will not lead to any extra cost to the students in terms of transportation fares. And aside that, for the students who will not be able to use who do not have the privilege of using private cars on campus, we are asking university to complement that failure with effective shuttle system. And as I speak to you, by tomorrow, we will have new shuttles running for the benefit of students at an affordable price.
I see. Thank you very much, Megdad. Megdad Mohammed is Public Relations Officer for the University of Ghana, SRC. Now, the Nkoso Hene of Cape Coast Zongo community, Alhaji Abubakar Al-Hassan, is asking the Muslim community to make education a priority. He indicated that gone are the days when the Muslim woman's only profession is either the home or marriage.
Alhaji Abubakar Al-Hassan was speaking to Joy News after the inauguration of Experience Club, a women's wing of the Muslim community in Cape Coast. He says it is only education that can make the Muslim play a greater role in society. The president of the club, Amina Al-Hassan, hoped the Muslim woman has come of age and that marriage should not be a priority in this day and age, and maintained the club would focus more on education in the Muslim community. Still in Cape Coast, the Francis Bedi Foundation, a health-based non-governmental organization based in Accra, has extended its health education to the inmates of the Human Service Trust Orphanage in Cape Coast to empower them to take responsibility for their health. The education centered on hand washing, reproductive health, teenage pregnancy, malaria, dental health, and HIV and AIDS. The project coordinator, Dr. Francis Rue, a dentist with the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, in an interview with Joy News, hoped other health practitioners would emulate the example and extend help by way of educating people on their basic health needs, especially in the hinterlands.
The Bunahaf Original Minister Paul Evans Edu has dispelled the criticism by some people that President Mahama is not doing anything. He says the various developmental projects being undertaken by the government through the MMDAs are visibly evident and verifiable. Paul Evans Edu was inspecting some projects in the Asunafo North municipality.
The Bonoaf Regional Minister and his lieutenant visited the Goso Midwifery Training School's Resource Center, a 547-kilometer Goso roundabout, Kukum Junction Road under construction, a story building accommodation for the Goso Police, and a Gets Fund Girls Dormitory for Ahafuman Senior High Technical School, among others. The team learned that the contractor in charge of the girls' dormitory at Ahafuman Senior High Technical School has abandoned the project, which was supposed to ease the accommodation problem facing the school. Paul Evans Edu assured that his office would inquire from the Get Fund if the contractor was paid or not and apply the necessary sanction for the prompt completion of the project. The contract was awarded to a Sunyani-based Munsi Construction Limited, but he abandoned the project about 8 months ago. The regional minister's team was also at the palace of the paramount chief of Goso traditional area, Nanakwesi Sibosompra. Nanakwesi Sibosompra appealed to the regional minister to help speed up construction work on the Goso roundabout Kukum Junction Road. He also advised his people against running to the media with every grievance which cannot be addressed by the same media. Nesta Kafuyajome's report.
The Minister for Trade and Industry, Haruna Idrisu, has charged officials at the various borders to collaborate with stakeholders of the textile industry and ensure pirated prints do not enter the country. Now, that's good. I'll tell you more about it when I return. You're watching Joy News, and this is News Today. The Minister for Trade and Industry, Haruna Idrisu, has charged officials at the various borders to collaborate with stakeholders of the textile industry and ensure pirated prints do not enter the country. At a stakeholder conference in Accra, he made clear that the activities of the Anti-Pirated Textile Task Force and the markets have only been suspended to allow them sensitize traders on the textile piracy in the first quarter of this year.
The once vibrant textile industry, which employed over 30,000 workers and contributed immensely to the economy, seems to be losing its hold due to the influx of pirated textile prints on the market. Putting the activities of the Anti-Pirated Textile Task Force on hold is also causing some jitters in the sector. The textile traders who maintain the task force should revise the activities, insist the challenge should be dealt with at the borders.
ATL for and GTP for and our printers were design singing in task force and one call borders nano. No one call them a tax force no no one jail guan mine or Sunday honor with the free bar. Nasa issue itunana. Ejrambwa na de ekura ontum nkose itunum yaka wontasin.
Our problem is that they should not invade the market because we don't manufacture in the market. All that we do is to buy and we sell in the market. So when they come to the market, it brings fear and panic to the traders, to those buying, everybody. They should come to the market, bring their new design, the registered ones, for us to know that these ones are registered ATL, registered GTP, so that no one will buy.
But the task force says that will not prevent them from swooping on those who sell pirated prints on the market.
It is not possible for you to arrest people at the borders because, you know, our borders, we have a border station here, and the next 20 kilometers, there's no station there. And those who stay there will by mistake advantage. But the issue is that when you buy something from a thief, you know, the police will not say you didn't know that the person was a thief. You will be charged for dishonestly receiving. In fact, the offense that the women are committing is similar to that. Whether they know or they don't know, the issue is that they are dealing in pirated textiles, and it's an offense.
These debates brought stakeholders together to discuss the way forward for the industry. While the task force has been given the mandate to sensitize the textile traders during the first quarter of the year, the Minister of Trade and Industry, Haruna Idrisu, also charged SEPS and all the other security agencies to be up and doing.
Check the porousness of the border and use border control in order that you will not subject market women to the harassment of the task force. That is not to say that the activities and actions of the task force are not rooted in law. They have a responsibility. But to our custom officials who are here, you have a national responsibility. Your title, as I understand it, is Custom, Excise and Preventive Service. Custom because you bring some import taxes, excise because you monitor what is produced locally, and preventive because you must stringently monitor and control the borders and not permit the entry into our country of all unacceptable pirated textiles into the country.
He also urged the traders to collaborate with the task force and all other agencies to rid of piracy in the textile industry.
The current challenges facing the Ghana cedi has forced the Bank of Ghana to move its first Monetary Policy Committee meeting for this year forward. The committee planned to begin meeting on February 17 and hold a press conference on February 19. However, we've gathered that due to mounting pressure on the Bank of Ghana to do more to stabilize the depreciating cedi, the regulator now wants to engage journalists this Thursday after meeting from today to review the health of the economy. The central bank, in a statement released earlier, confirmed the change in date for the meeting and press conference. Sources say the bank would be using this Thursday's engagement to announce new sets of measures to help halt the local currency's freefall and the state of the economy over the past months. John Gachi is as an economist and lecturer at the University of Cape Coast Business School. He's joined us over the telephone. Hello, John.
Hello.
Now, the latest move by the Bank of Ghana, which sources say it is due to they wanting to get some more time to be able to come up with their new sets of measures to deal with the free fall of the cedi. What do you expect the Bank of Ghana to be dealing with now?
Well, I think what the Bank of Ghana should be doing seriously is proper information management regarding the currency. Because over the past few weeks, we have not heard Bank of Ghana thoughtfully, actively, in terms of providing information as to what it has done, what has been the result, and what is the way forward. And as a result of that, it allows space for many people to make several comments that tends to speak about what I will refer to as desperation pressure on the currency, thereby moving a lot of people to do speculation buying, increasing the demand pressure on the currency. So this is a time that the central bank should ensure that it provides the appropriate information surrounding the currency, so that drives home how the currency should move in terms of information.
For how long before we start seeing the signs of a $20 million the Bank of Ghana released to salvage the cedi?
Well, I think yesterday there was some slight stability about the cedi. One can attribute that marginal stability to the increased supply of the dollar. But definitely we do know that that amount is not enough to stabilize the currency right now, because the demand pressure is so huge. One will need more supply of currency in order to stabilize the demand pressure. I think that is what I can say about what has happened.
The Bank of Ghana, in its bid to stop the dollarization of the Ghanaian economy, hasn't worked. What more can it do?
I come with that point again.
I'm saying that one of the reasons attributed to the fall of the cedi is the fact that we are very dollarized in our transactions here in the country. The Bank of Ghana since 2012 has made a lot of moves to try and seize the situation or nip it as it is. It hasn't worked at all. What more can it do?
It is very simple to do. It's about ensuring that you implement the rules as are indicated in the exchange, Foreign Exchange Act. But I believe the Bank of Ghana will have it very difficult because it is not only individual private people who are engaged in dollarization. It is not only the hotels, shops, and some schools who are engaged in dollarization. District assemblies, state institutions, and even government sectors, and in some instances, transact some businesses in foreign currencies, even contractors who are dollarized or put in or denominated in other foreign currencies. So you need to get the state to understand. You need to get the state institution to understand that they need to take off their hands from transacting in foreign currency. If they are able to agree with you, then it becomes very easy to implement across board. That is one of the reasons why the Bank of Ghana was not able to implement it. There are other factors that put pressure on people to engage in dollarization, and for that matter, indexing their transactions to the dollar. If you are dealing with an economy which is not stable in terms of inflation, it's not stable in terms of the exchange rate, then people will be forced to hedge their transactions by engaging in this dollarization. So we need to look at it from the macroeconomic point of view also. But I need to indicate quickly that dollarization has been with us all this time. Therefore, dollarization alone cannot be the single most important factor that is causing the depreciation in January.
Of course.
There are other factors that must be identified and dealt with. I think the major factor this time is overtrading, illegal trading in foreign currency across the country. Private businesses are engaged in that. People make sales at the end of the day. All that they do is to change it into foreign currency. If the Bank of Ghana itself has made indication to the effect that it wants to license banks who want to engage in foreign currency trading, that is a position that the financial institution itself, players in the financial market are also corporate when it comes to illegal trading in foreign currency. These are the things that are putting demand pressure. Foreign currency has become a hot traded commodity. Everybody is going into it. So the central bank should identify these important factors that are actually putting pressure on the system, especially this time round. Dollarization should be treated as a long-term measure to deal with the diversification of the economy. Definitely is a long-term activity. You cannot come out with a policy today and then all of a sudden you will see diversification everywhere within the export transaction of the country. So we need to identify the short-term causes of what is happening right now and deal with that.
But the central bank seems helpless. I mean, year on year, we see this problem, and at the end of the day, we only see the market forces, save the city. We really do not see the Bank of Ghana come up and then perform its mandate as a regulator. So how do we solve this?
The Bank of Ghana is performing its mandate as a regulator, but there's one weakness about every regulator in financial markets, and this weakness is that the players in the financial market who undertake activities that negatively affect the economy are faster in their action than the response of regulators. So that is the weakness of most regulators across the world. One will ask, why is it that in the U.S., with all the technology, etc., they were not able to identify most quickly that the financial crisis was looming on them, but it happened before they came up with many regulations to address the situation. So that is the weakness of most regulators. But when it does happen, the regulator should be very fast, very quick, and then provide policies that will, in a very dispatched manner, address the issue. I think that is what, because at this time, all that we do is to keep criticism, etc., on the central bank. Then they will be divided and they will not focus so much to address the situation. So I think we need to look at that.
Now, with the trend we see now, should we expect our prime rates to go up?
Well, if you look at what is happening, the simplest conclusion is to indicate that there is likelihood for the prime rate to go up. But if the prime rate goes up, then it means that you are trying to say that if the purpose is to address the issue of depreciation, then you are trying to indicate that the cause of depreciation is excess liquidity which you want to move. But I do not think that what is happening to the currency is as a result of excess liquidity. Therefore, even if you increase the prime rate, it will not help in solving the depreciation problem. Because the depreciation problem, in my mind, is more precarious than having increased interest rates. Because the depreciation affects every import into the country, including crude oil. It will affect petroleum prices. It will affect generation of power. And all these things, we are importing gas, all these are denominated in dollar. So I think that if the purpose is to save the currency, then increasing the interest rate may not be the appropriate measure because you are not likely going to mop up any excess liquidity.
Thank you very much, John, once again. John Gachi is an economist and lecturer at the University of Cape Coast Business School. Now, the Ghana Institute of Governance and Security has urged the government to partner with the American government to take advantage of Power Africa, a new initiative to double access to power in Sub-Saharan Africa. The call, according to Giggs, followed President Barack Obama's recent pledge to work in partnership with African governments to thrill citizenry with excess of electricity power, which he called Power Africa. Meanwhile, Janet Yellen has been sworn in as chair of the Federal Reserve, the U.S. Central Bank, replacing Ben Bernanke in the role. Yellen, 67, had been Bernanke's deputy for 3 years. She is the first woman to hold the post at the Washington-based bank. A respected economist, her main task will be managing the winding down of the bank's bond buying stimulus program without damaging her country's recovering economy. U.S. President Obama has called on employers to grant more apprenticeship opportunities to Americans as a way of tackling unemployment.
Now, this opportunity agenda that I put forward has 4 parts. First part is creating more new jobs. Number 2, we got to train Americans with the skills to fill those jobs. Number 3, we've got to guarantee every child access to a world-class education, because that's where the foundation starts for them to be able to get a good job. And then number 4, we got to make sure hard work pays off. So what we're going to do is we're going to review all of federal job training programs, soup to nuts, and then we're also going to be supporting local ones. I've asked Vice President Biden and top officials in the federal government to reach out to governors, mayors, business leaders, labor leaders, Democratic and Republican members of Congress. Let's find what programs are working best, and let's duplicate them and expand them. So while we redouble our efforts to train today's workforce, we've got to make sure that we are doing everything we can to expand apprenticeships. And I'm going to call on American companies all across the country, particularly manufacturers, to set up more apprenticeship programs. Now today, women make up half our workforce. They're making 77 cents for every dollar a man earns. That's wrong. When women succeed, America succeeds. And by the way, when women succeed, men succeed. Because
the biggest name in social networking, Facebook, celebrates 10 years of existence on Tuesday, having grown from a private college site to a worldwide platform with 1.23 billion users. Facebook founder and CEO Mark Zuckerberg released a statement on the company's Facebook page Tuesday saying he hopes the next 10 years will allow the company to expand its capabilities. He said he wants Facebook to help people solve bigger and more important problems than before. Facebook's initial public offering in 2012 had unexpectedly poor results, but the value of the company's shares has risen to record levels since then. The company's worth reported $157 billion, more than many major U.S. companies with histories that are decades longer. Barclays chief executive Anthony Jenkins has turned down a bonus of up to £2.7 million for 2013 due to costs incurred by the bank to deal with past problems and its $6 billion fundraising. He said in a statement that taking a bonus would not be right in the circumstances. Now, Barclays had been involved in what he called legacy litigation and conduct issues during 2013. It is the second year running that Jenkins has waived his bonus. Other Barclays executives are also entitled to a bonus, but it is understood that they have not yet taken a decision on whether to forgo the money. Talk of huge bonuses. I'll be right back with sports, brought to you by Tigo and Cowbell. For sports, and the Ghana Football Association has called on Premier League clubs To ensure the league's new sponsor receives the mileage it deserves to attract other sponsors, clubs have consistently failed to organize pre- and post-match interviews over the years, much to the disappointment of the former headline sponsors. The FA, however, insists the club must be responsible with respect to the first Capital Plus sponsorship. Sunny Dara speaks for the Ghana FA.
Also have to be, cautiously optimistic in telling the clubs that they have now got the responsibility in helping us retain the sponsor and even attract more sponsors. If the sponsor feels that, it's come on board and it's had, the necessary mileage that it's supposed to get, we will be able to attract new sponsors and retain our existing sponsors. The problem we've had in the past is that a sponsor comes and he feels that I'm sponsoring the league, I'm not getting the mileage I deserve. So the clubs must not come and take the sponsorship money and go to bed. It must be made compulsory that clubs must do pre- and post-match conferences. It is the only way where we can get visibility for our sponsors. If you want to start, or let's say you want to play a league match on Sunday, what prevents you from inviting the press?
Burkina Faso international Jonathan Petroipa insists he will not dwell on his failed transfer to Stoke from Rennes on deadline day. The Premier League side and the French Ligue 1 club agreed a loan deal with an option to buy, but the deal fell through at the last minute. Petroipa's agent and club intermediaries have been criticized in some quarters over the collapse of the deal. The 27-year-old, who has made 23 appearances this season for his former club. Mexico forward Carlos Vela will not be available for World Cup selection this summer, according to his National Football Federation. The 24-year-old has scored 10 goals for Real Sociedad this season, but has not played for his country since 2011. The former Arsenal player's decision to make himself unavailable for Brazil 2014 was revealed in a statement on the Mexican Federation's website. Mexico will begin their World Cup Group A campaign against Cameroon on 13th June. Elsewhere on News Today, sectarian fighting in the Central African Republic town of Boda since Tuesday has left at least 75 people dead. Local priest Father Cassien Kamatari said help was needed to stop the violence between Muslims and Christians. There have been widespread reports of revenge attacks since many Muslim fighters withdrew from the capital Bangui last month. France, the former colonial power, has 1,600 troops in the country, working with some 4,000 troops from African countries to help end the violence, which has seen about 1 million people, about 20% of the country's population, flee their homes. The UN said last month that it believed at least 10,000 troops may be required in any force sent to end the unrest. South Sudan's former Vice President Riek Machar says he has formed a resistance group that will fight the government to ensure democracy and good governance in the war-battered country. South Sudan's government had accused Riek Machar of leading a coup attempt that set off weeks of deadly fighting between pro- and anti-government troops. Machar said his group wants to see democracy, pluralism, free elections and good governance take hold in South Sudan. Thousands are believed killed and more than 500,000 people have been driven from their homes by the fighting in the country. A ceasefire signed by government and rebel delegations in Ethiopia 10 days ago was largely held, despite each side accusing the other of violations. More talks are scheduled to begin on February 7. Ilbad Ibrahim is an international news analyst. He's joined us over the telephone. Ilbad.
Yeah, Kemeni.
Thank you very much for joining us. Riek Machar has formed a resistance group to check the government. What do you make of it?
But has anybody asked him to define what resistance means in this sense? I think that is a $1 million question we shall soon have an answer to, maybe later in the day. Kemeni, it's quite refreshing that Riek, who had remained largely out of sight and has now run out of might, is opening up to the world. He granted that interview to VOA, and I'm sure by the close of the day would have gleaned some more information about his intentions. But working with what we have currently at Germany, a careful scrutiny of his diction projects an aura of a frustrated patriot who had no option but to pull the trigger in order to guarantee those lofty things you've mentioned of democracy, free elections, and all that. But it remains to be seen whether he's ready to permanently bury the hatchet and smoke the peace pipe. Thumbs up to IGAD. The peace broker IGAD has largely achieved the broad terms of the armistice agreement. Up to 7 of Riek's 11 political allies have been freed. A humanitarian corridor has been created for much-needed humanitarian aid to trickle into the country, and an advanced team of regional experts has been dispatched to monitor the shaky ceasefire. So I think that of course, Riek's utterances now, as he has started speaking after 6 weeks of silence, will be interpreted as tacit complicity in war crimes, or better still, genuine remorse for treading a wrong path to seek positive good for his people. So we wait to see what happens. But the government of Salva Kiir is guarding its political trump cards close to its chest. Salva Kiir's envoy to Uganda, Samuel Luati, has just issued a test statement that Riek cannot escape from the jaws of accountability, and that he and 2 other people will be charged for treason. So, Kemeni, as you know, treason is punishable by death, and I don't think the international community will accept that, because the eventual capture and execution of Riek would only betray the letter and spirit of the peace talks and would further explode an already combustible situation.
And so while the regional monitors are in South Sudan and hope to engage in more talks starting February 7, what are expectations of them?
Unfortunately, there have been some sporadic skirmishes across the country. The team of monitors touched down in Juba some 2 days ago, and over that period, up to 50 people have been reported dead. So the situation is still murky, it's still fluid, but most of the carnage has ended, and that is good news for the international community. At least civil servants have been called back to Jonglei State. Schools have started opening, and therefore we wouldn't expect an impeccable security situation till after some weeks. And therefore, for the fact that Riek has started speaking, means that perhaps we'll go back to Addis on the 7th of this month with more hope and anticipation of a long-lasting peace for the people of South Sudan.
But we can't say same for the CAR.
The CAR is quite different, because in the CAR today, Kemeni, we have a religious war, is a genocide. The Muslims, they are being killed in their droves. People are hugged in the streets. People are set ablaze, and all that. And therefore, I think it's quite different. Ghana has made some commitments to South Sudan. It's just been announced that we've moved up to 300 troops from Côte d'Ivoire to South Sudan. So perhaps there needs to be more commitment from the international community in resolving the situation in the CAR. But the CAR situation should even be more urgent. The priority of the international community should be geared even more towards the CAR than South Sudan, because in part, there has been a resolution to the carnage in South Sudan. And therefore, we should marshal our efforts and then rally the support of the rest of the international community, especially our Western partners, to solve the situation over there.
We'll leave it here, Ilbad. Ilbad Ibrahim is an international news analyst. Now, authorities in Togo have seized nearly 4 tons of ivory, the tax from over 500 dead elephants hidden in containers destined for Vietnam. The tax, disguised as cashew nuts and timber, were found late last month, underscoring the flow of ivory to Asia that environmentalists warn is decimating elephant populations, and diplomats say also risks fueling conflict in Africa. A senior official in Togo's Environment Ministry said the tasks were found in 2 seizures in the port of Lomé, one on January 22 and another on January 28. Some 500 elephants would have been killed in the hull, which has a value of around $8 million on the international market. Ahead of Eric Donaldson's live in concert on Wednesday, he performed over the weekend at the Mensvik Grand Hotel for some of his die-hard fans.
In an open space at the Mensvik Hotel, saw reggae lovers and some die-hard fans of the legendary reggae act Eric Donaldson, who gathered to feel the very first performance of Eric. Whilst waiting for the performance of Eric, there were performances from some reggae acts, including one of Ghana's finest, Atongo Zimba, who performed his popular Heaven There Is No Beer song.
Living in the world, my brother, living in the world.
But he didn't show up. We'll move on to some other stories. New York City police have found up to 70 bags of suspected heroin inside actor Philip Seymour Hoffman's home a day after his death. The Oscar-winning star 46 was found dead at his Greenwich Village home on Sunday with a syringe in his arm. A post-mortem examination is expected to be carried out on Monday. Police suspect Hoffman died of an overdose. The lights along Theatre Marquise on New York's Broadway were to be dimmed on Wednesday in honor of Hoffman. The actor earns 3 Tony Award nominations for his work in New York theater. Hoffman is survived by his partner Mimi O'Donnell and their 3 children. A judge has turned down calls to send Chris Brown to jail. Superior Court Judge James L. Brandlin denied a prosecution request in an assault case involving the singer, citing the R&B star's good behavior and progress rehabilitation. Brown was sentenced to 3 months of inpatient rehab in November. It was after he was arrested and charged in connection with a fight allegedly involving Brown and a bodyguard in Washington, D.C. The singer agreed to the terms of the rehab conditions, which was suggested by probation officers overseeing his sentence for an attack on his ex-girlfriend Rihanna in 2009. Prosecutor Los Angeles Deputy District Attorney Mary Murray wanted Brown to be given a jail sentence during Monday's hearing and called for a full probation violation hearing, which would have resulted in evidence about the D.C. case being presented to Judge Brundtland.
I know you're mad for some words, I wish you best of luck. Now I'm finna through them deuces up.
You're watching News Today. Our major stories for the hour. Ghana Highway Authority says the implementation of the new axle load limit is intended to save the country from spending huge sums of money on maintenance. The biggest name in social media networking, Facebook, celebrates 10 years of existence on Tuesday, having grown from a private college site to a worldwide platform with 1.23 billion users. Sectarian fighting in the Central African Republic town of Border since Tuesday has left at least 75 people dead. For more news, visit myjoyonline.com. Thank you very much for staying through the hour. My name is Kimini Nyamani Amano. Goodbye.